This would be cool. Yeah, I liked messing with this. I was using it all
It's
day.
like a Casey Neistat vlog from like 2005.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a found footage kind of thing.
It's like an old ass YouTube channel from the early days.
A trip to the zoo.
A trip to the zoo. It's crazy how much YouTube has changed.
Yeah. Now it's just like a vessel for arguing and ideology and stupid influence content.
I feel like
influencer content.
it's either people arguing or it's like brain rot. It's just brain rotting content.
Yeah. And I mean, I participate in the brain rot sometimes.
Yeah, me too. And I don't know. I don't want to anymore. Someone's not happy.
Come here. What's up? Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Anyways, I've been meaning to ask you, I want to hear what you think of the curse. I've not gotten your take on the curse yet.
I think it's really cool. Every time I watch an episode with Jackie, we just have like a long ass conversation afterwards about what we think.
I envy that because I watched it by myself and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, I wish I could talk to someone about this.
No, honestly, I think it's a show touching up on something that like not a lot of media in general or art is like touching upon, you know? I think it's like poking fun at like how far we've gone, you know? And like how we've become a parody of ourselves as like a society in general. But especially like on the sense of like social justice and change and progressivism and all of this, it's like at what point are you kind of just doing it to feel better about yourself and not because you actually care? You know? And I think that's like
it's just Whitney.
Whitney is like such a horrible character.
She's
like
insufferable.
Yeah.
And
then like
worst.
Asher is like a little better because I feel like he's not as fake. He's only fake because of her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like he's also kind of like just extremely like not self-aware, you know?
No, and like not genuine. He's just Wait, what episode are you all on?
We just finished the one where they have that guy come see the house and she thinks he's gonna be this like racist, like white supremacist guy, and then he shows up and he's like super nice. He's like with the tribes, you know, like the only reason.
The thin blue line guy. Right?
Yeah, like she makes his whole thing because he has like a thin blue line flag on his car, and like to be honest, like I get that because like I feel like I'm guilty of like doing that sometimes, like seeing like somebody have some kind of symbol that to me kind of stands for something that I think they're gonna be a certain way, and I kind of just assume everything about that person, but in reality, there's way more to a person than a symbol, you know? And, I mean, the guy in the show is just like, yeah, I mean, I just support police officers and firefighters, and it's like, you can have whatever opinion you have about police, like, yeah, it's not, like, the greatest, like, least fallible institution that we have in society. It's definitely very corrupt at times. It's definitely very, like, just flawed, but, I mean, the guy just supports police officers, and, like, I don't think that's inherently, like, that doesn't inherently make him a bad person, you know? But in her mind, she's like, we cannot sell this house to this guy, but he loved it. And he's, like, so eco-friendly and stuff. Like,
it's like, even when she found out, like, I mean, the guy kind of spoke, and you're like, okay, he's kind of a decent guy. She still maintained, like, I don't want this guy to have our house. It's like she wanted the person to have the house for the reason she wanted. Like, obviously being eco-friendly, she's like, he needs to be, like, conscious of the environment, but he was more interested in the, like, being off the grid portion of it.
Yeah.
Which is, like, if someone's gonna buy your house, just buy it. You know, I mean, let him buy it, you know? But... And
that's the guy that's gonna make the least changes to it, too. Like, he's gonna try to keep it eco-friendly because that's part of living off the grid, you know?
Yeah,
like, being
exactly.
self-sustainable. So...
Yeah, but no, it's one of the most unique shows I've seen in a while. I'm excited for you to see how it ends, because that's something.
Is it crazy?
I'd say so. I'm kind of sad. I don't have, like, I kind of looked forward to watching it every time I got home. Now I don't have that. Like, I was like building up to it.
Yeah.
So I don't have it. So I don't have like a show. I need to find a new one to get on.
I think one of my favorite characters in the show is probably Dougie.
Yeah, dude. Dougie,
I think he might be my
so
favorite
good.
character, and I think it's because he's really complicated. Because when the show starts, you like hate his guts. You're like, this guy's awful. He's just being like, and like Whitney and Asher don't seem that bad, but I think as the show progresses, they kind of flip. And like Dougie's not like a great person. Like he's still kind of a scumbag, but you understand why he's a scumbag. You know, like.
It's like you're talking about like getting in the car accident, and it's just a coincidence. I happen to be drunk, in the car accident. Like he's so unaware of he caused the crash.
Like spoiler.
This entire thing is a spoiler.
Whatever. The scene where he's crying, you know exactly what I'm talking about, in the hotel room. The camera just zooms into him.
Yeah.
That's like such a real moment. Like Benny Safdie, his acting in that scene is crazy. Like it feels so real. It doesn't feel scripted. I feel like I'm just like watching a man like lonely,
like really
breaking down.
Yeah, the show really does like have those moments where it's like it feels like the show is being filmed by a like the shots where it's like side through like the angles or like through the windows. I really like that, where it's like, are they aware that they are in the show also? But it's just an amazing form of filming, I think. I just really like it all around. And yeah, Dougie he's probably one of the funniest characters, honestly,
He is.
too.
He is.
So anyways, this is another guest, Mars Alva.
I saw something yesterday that I wanted to talk to you about. I found this guy, and oh no, the audio's gonna be weird. I found this guy, well, on my phone, but God, what was his name? Dry Creek Wrangler School. Have you seen him before?
No, Dry Creek Wrangler.
He's like this old man in like his like early 70s, maybe late 60s. I don't know. He might be older, but he looks around that age. And he's got like a big beard. He's like a cowboy, but he's like such a gentle soul. And like I just came across him through like a random like short.
Yes,
but I started watching his videos and I'm like, damn, this man is like actually has some incredible advice.
Is he like just like always in a lawn chair and he's just like speaking to the camera?
Yeah.
Yes, I love him,
dude.
So much.
He struck a chord with me last night. I don't know why. Like it really. He said something that really like resonated with me, and I was gonna show you, but he was like, and it kind of goes with this masculinity. I feel like it's a very like complicated topic right now for like all of us.
Yeah.
You know, it's very. There's so many people talking about so many different things about like what being a man is, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, to be a man is to serve those who you love, to serve your community, to be a servant of like your kind, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you can do all the self-improvement you can be isolated from society as much as you can go to the gym as much as you can meditate as much as you can be the best well-read men in the world, but if you don't serve the people you love and your community, you're going to feel empty. It's going to be all for nothing.
Yeah, he really captures that, so many issues that I guess a lot of men feel like they don't have like that father figure or the person to look up to, and he's speaking on like some heavy stuff, but it's all true, like what he's saying, but it's people like that who's really gonna bring about the change that's necessary, and like
100%.
Such a positive figure.
It's because I think my big issue with the whole like manosphere red pill like fucking borderline incel core, like my issue is not necessarily with Okay, I think my main issue with it is just its perspective that it has of like life and what being happy and successful is. You know, it's making so many young men believe that the only way that they can be happy is being rich, having a lot of women, and driving expensive cars, and like all these things. So like, so many young men are working towards that, and they're missing out on things because of it. You know, they're missing out on the wonderful small little things of life, family, friends, hobbies, you know, just basic small day-to-day things that are what keep us really happy, you know? Because at the end of the day, you might be rich, but then you die, and then you can't take any of that with you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can take the memories, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like it's touching on a broader issue of the men feeling lost, and there's a vacuum there, and the vacuum is being filled by this, the red pill ideology.
Which is just excess.
Which is also incorrect. Yeah, it's excess, and it's inherently empty, and it's just leading all these guys down a pathway, and then they're gonna get deeper and deeper, and some of them will like feel horrible at the end, and some will just be so deep in that they can't get out. You know, they feel like they can't turn around, and they'll be like that. It's hard to believe that people, man, there's a lot of people that just grow up with a certain mentality, or like don't grow up.
Yeah.
And they just like, you know, they navigate the world with this like warped perspective, or like a childlike fear of like, you know, I don't know. It just causes them to act instinctually.
I wrote this quote that I saw yesterday. It's this guy, he's a comedian. I don't remember his name, but it's this guy with glasses. Alan Rickman. I don't remember. It's not Alan Rickman. I don't remember his name. But
Snape is a comedian.
I loved this quote. He said, "Is masculinity something that you're trying to sell, or something that you need to be?" And I feel like that is so, like, that's it. That's the problem. It's like everybody's trying to sell. Like, they're trying to prove to you, I am a man. I am strong. I have money. I have women. I am successful. I am alpha. But, like, they're none of those things. Because they're not doing the work to be that. They're just, like, I don't know. They just want to make it seem like they're that way.
Yeah, it's a shell. It's like a gilded version of like that, because on the outside they've like, through material gains, they feel that that'll bring them to that level, but of course it doesn't change the inside. So and it just ends up with a new problem after that. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever like talked to someone that has that way of thinking.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating, but it's also like, I don't know, it's like very eerie and like shocking to like talk to someone and you're like, do you actually think like this, or are you doing a bit?
Yeah.
Like, why are you like,
I think one of the scariest,
or like, why are you making all these weird comments?
One of the scariest points where we can get as a society is when you can't tell the difference between satire and like reality. That's scary.
Yeah. I don't even know. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation where you're like, all right, we don't think the same. And you're just like, you can't think that way. Or like, this is kind of separate than what we're talking about. But a theme that I've kind of been thinking of is like, guys, okay, so you know how like most guys are like very reactive and they get really angry and they'll start like fighting, or like there's like an instinctual like, if someone disrespects me, it's time to fight. But I've always been of the mentality of like, well, not always, but I've kind of come to it of like, the first person that gets pissed off is the one who loses. I see a lot of videos like that where it'll be these guys and they just go and like, okay, they're also kind of not great, but they'll just like talk to people, but they're like instigating. and it gets people so pissed. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to get people pissed off. But I just think about that in a broader sense of like, if people can like speak, if people use words, and that riles you up, that changes your entire being, your emotions, you're like not grounded. You're like a puppet of other people. So I always try to remember, because, you know, I think that's just how you retain power. You don't get pissed off, you know. But also, I'm also not a guy that gets in fights.
You know,
I just can't.
I agree with that, but like, why the need to purposely piss people off for no reason?
That's what I was kind of getting at. I'm like, that's not the best part, because it's like those YouTubers that just kind of like carry a camera around, and they'll be like in a Walmart, and some guy is just like, hey, you're not supposed to film in here, and they'll be like, oh, you're like, he's deaf, or that's not actually a camera, and they're like, what? And they get really like, they keep pissing him off, but they're like, stable emotion, them just being so indifferent, is what causes people to get even more furious. It's kind of not, it's like a toxic prank mentality of like this new YouTube pranksters, but it's also very interesting to watch.
I mean, you can go as far as to say that like they're doing that kind of on purpose, but then you have people who are doing that on accident, and that's worse. Like people's reactions to that is worse, because at that point they're not even provoking you directly. They're kind of just there. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't like those people with like the picket fences, like you're going to hell type thing going on. Yeah. But seeing them in like a college campus, and like I was a victim of like falling under that trap and like trying to have a conversation with them, and it's like they're not there to listen to you. They're there to spread their message blindly and deafly. They're not going to listen to anything you're saying. They're just going to do what they're doing, you know? But so many people are just trying to argue against them, and so many other people are pissed off, and so many people like just get their day ruined by this. And it's like, I get it, because you feel disrespected, but at the same time,
you're allowing them to
allowing them to disrespect you. If you just ignore it, they won't continue, you know?
Yeah.
Just ignore them. You can move on your day. Yes, it sucks. Horrible people exist. And like, that's fine. Horrible people are always going to exist. And I mean, maybe they're not horrible. Maybe they're just misguided, you know? A lot of those people are born into like cults, and like they don't like they don't know anything else, you know? I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I think we have a lot less free will than we actually think we do.
You think so?
I think we have like 20% free will, 80% predetermination.
That is true. It's like you could be based on your circumstances, you just kind of end up in certain situations. But I do agree. There is a sliver of choice within that. But like, for example, we live in Katy, Texas. That's already like narrowing down a lot of circumstances. Also how your parents raised you, and like just everything else, your education level. There's like predeterminations, but I think there's still choice within it. But so I kind of stand by, agree with what you're saying.
But I mean, think about it. Like if your same soul, your same being was born in like, I don't know, Siberia, you would be a completely different person. Absolutely. Just based on location.
Yeah.
Even if you had the same family with the same values, just based on the fact that you were born in a different location in the world that's drastically different, you would be a different person. Completely. You know?
Yeah. No, that'd be... I'm just thinking about if I was stuck in Siberia, I'd probably be an unhappy person.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you're getting at. Like, there's a lot of things already set for us. But I think that's just kind of like the flow of life, You can't be anxious about things that are just kind of happening to you.
Yeah.
But there will be times, where you're faced with like obvious choice. And I think that's maybe where your 20%. I don't even know if we can even quantify free will into a percentage, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I'm not even, it's kind of something to paint a picture.
Right.
Like, I was kind of looking at some videos about this yesterday because I was really curious about what other people had to say. And I saw this guy, this philosopher or psychologist, I don't remember, he was talking about, he was using this analogy. If I put some ice cream for my children on the table, they're going to eat it. Like, there's a 99% chance that those kids are going to eat the ice cream because it's on the table.
Yeah.
It's free. Like, they get ice cream. They're going to eat it, you know? Mm-hmm. I feel like it's the same with human beings. If you put something on the table for them, they're going to go with their nature, you know? However, I do think that human nature is volatile. I do think that human nature can change, you know? It's not something that stays the same all the time. But for humans to change their nature, there needs to be an acknowledgement that that's not human nature. For you to have free will, you need to accept that you have free will. The only way for you to have free will is to acknowledge the fact that right now you can make a decision that like for example, I just got up here, I'm like walking around. This is free will.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing this. Like, you know?
Yeah. But what if that was the like conversation that led you? Okay, wait. Where am I going with this? Where do you think you're limited in your free will? Do you think you can someone acknowledge where they're limited? Like, for example, let's go back to that kid situation. Do you think that they can make like a realization that that wasn't a choice, that they just like went up and ate it? You know what I mean?
They can, but they're kids.
I know, but take that to a broader scale of us. There's got to be something that we do, that we just kind of do, that we can't, we won't assume that the kids comprehend that that wasn't a choice, that they just did it. There's got to be something that we're doing that's like, it's similar to that. Do you see what I'm getting at? It's almost like...
I mean, there's so many things. I feel like human morality is like all over the place, and just because something is ethically wrong doesn't mean that you're gonna grow up thinking it is wrong. There's so many people that I see all the time doing things that I think are wrong that to them they're just normal, you know? And it's like, okay, like, that's how you were raised, that's your background. Like, I can't, like, who am I to judge why you're doing that, you know? I mean, of course it's wrong if it's like ethically seen as wrong by a lot of people, by like most of society. But I don't know, there's a certain kind of sympathy in me for that.
It does take a broad like bit of emotional intelligence to have that empathy, especially like, I mean, okay, someone wrongs you in the moment, you're not going I would argue that most people are not going to step back and be like, you know, that was a product of their circumstances and how they were raised, and it's just where they're at in life. Like, someone cuts you off in the road, or like someone says a slur, you're like, that your initial reaction is not going to be like that. It's going to be, you're pissed off.
Yeah.
I hear you. You know what might help? Ask me to open the mindfulness app.
Okay.
This is what this podcast is all about. We leave all the imperfections.
We do leave all the imperfections. But yeah, I watched the full thing, and that was such a great debate. Just because, like, oh, dude, don't even get me started on politics, but every political discussion has turned into, like, culture war, and just, like, your guy's bad, this guy's bad. It's like, okay, there's no substance in it. It's exhausting. And it's always in front of, like, audiences, which is the worst thing I feel like you could do. It becomes like a WWE showdown when they like build up to their point, and it's like, what are we doing?
Like, the goal isn't to dunk on someone. The goal is to like give, like, play the game, you know? I don't know. It's to figure things out, you know?
Yeah.
But going back to what I was
Yes,
saying,
yeah.
I think the reason it made me think about free will was because I've kind of realized there's a certain paradox with conservatism.
Okay.
And it's the paradox of free will and determinism. And the reason why I was thinking about this is because Ben Shapiro was making this point of like, well, the solution is for people to like make their own decisions and do this way, you know? And then Destiny was like, well, not everybody gets to like be exposed to those decisions, so they're not going to make that decision because it's just in their nature to not do that, you know? And I kind of understood where both of them were coming from. However, the whole point of like, oh, like you should be able to like do this on your own, like you don't need any help from anybody, like you should what's the thing, pulling yourself up from your bootstraps? How do you call it?
The like every issue is something that can be achieved by just putting in some effort and like changing your behavior.
Yeah, I think we don't have as much choice as we'd like to in that, you know? But conservatives love to make it seem like we do. But also, most conservatives are also deeply religious, which, if you are deeply religious, you would assume that if there's a God, he's kind of controlling things, you know, and kind of making things happen, you know? And you believe that God has a plan and God has, you know? So if you believe that God has a plan and that everything's kind of set out to be the way it is, then do you think God is giving these people less of an opportunity than you? So do you think you're worthy of having an opportunity, but these people aren't worthy of having an opportunity based on the circumstances in which you were born in? Because yes, from 1 in 5,000 people, maybe one, this is not a statistic, 1 in 5,000 people, one might be able to get out of one specific bad situation. You know, the other 44,999 might not, you know, because they're stuck in a certain mindset. Maybe that one person got exposed to something, read something, met someone that made them understand that. So I think the point is not helping people by like giving them things so they don't have to fix the root of the issue, but educating people and like helping them see things in like a different perspective that allows them to get themselves out of those situations, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, I guess I understand seeing it, when we're talking about politics relating to that, is like, yes, the U.S. government is so huge. On a federal level, we don't need to be like having that be the thing that decides that. But I feel like on a local level, or at least in like states, cities, communities, like we should be helping each other out to like be able to achieve things, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like we live in such an individualistic society that's only worried about our pleasure, you know, and our individual like surface level shallow success, you know, and not moving the human race forward. And I think the only way to move the human race forward is to assist each other in that process, because not everybody gets that chance.
Can I push back on that a bit?
Yeah.
So I agree. I wouldn't frame it as a one-sided thing, though. Like, as I wouldn't consider myself conservative, but I do agree with you on that issue of like seeing that everyone should be able to be responsible for their actions. But I think in retaliation to that, I think there's a growing rise on the other side of a just the opposite of belief that everyone is a product of their circumstances and they have no kind of control over their immediate life, where everything is just circumstances of systems, of inequalities, and just like past sins of just governments, people in power, and therefore that everybody's either like, it's kind of the oppressor-oppressed mentality that everyone's like either or, and it's like spectrum, and we need to see people that way. And if you're on the one side of the end of it, then you really have bad in the stick and you can't really control anything because you're just a product of your environment. I think that's like the far end of the other side, and the other end being what you just described of like everyone is completely responsible for their actions and where they're at in life. And I think those are the tension points that's in the country right now. And they're further getting pulled in either direction, where someone like me is like, I'm not a centrist, but kind of understanding that it's like, it's not quite that black or white.
Well, it's not. I think the solution is not centrist. It's not saying like, well, they're both right, they're both wrong. Like,
yeah.
I think the problem is that neither of those have a solution. You know? It's just saying like, I'm right, and this is how people should be.
It's a worldview, and it's putting people in those boxes.
Exactly.
And you need to act as such.
Exactly. But I think the real solution is acknowledge the fact that people can change and people can have free will and people can be better and people can get out of these situations. Like, there's nothing that can't be undone when it comes to, you know, human growth and development and being able to achieve things. Mm-hmm. However, like, what are you doing to help somebody else get there? You know? What am I doing? You know, I come from a good family. Like, I had a solid family structure, you know, 2-parent household, great father figure, great mother figure, 2 great older siblings. Sure. Like, I had, you know, my family isn't perfect, but I had the privilege that other people may not have of like have like a stable, good family, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's my duty as someone who was blessed with that to help someone out understand what like love is, you know, and understand what like having people who care about you is, you know. Maybe if there's someone younger out there who might not have a good father figure, you know, and like I can help them somehow, like give them some advice, like help guide them a little bit, you know, like based on me having a good father figure.
Absolutely.
You know, like that's community. That's like helping other people get to a place where they can achieve their best, you know?
Yeah.
Because I would want someone to assist me in something else in my life that I'm lacking, you know, and something else in my life that I might need help understanding and help because I wasn't privileged with having that, you know? So families love, like, you know, genuine, like, love. Like, that's something that I know I can provide to people, you know? But there's things that I'm lacking too. There's things you're lacking. There's things we're all lacking. And I think we don't think about how we can really do that. We just think like, oh, how can the government force people to do this, you know? I think...
Yeah, how can we legislate out of this problem? Where I don't think legislation's always the solution for every single societal issue, right? You got to let the people fix it sometimes. And circling back to our initial conversation, I think you have a great mentality, but going too far in the negative on that is the entire kind of idea of the curse of like, I have such a position of like privilege and I'm just in a better place and like, I just need to like help these people out. And like, I think that's like showing it in that negative light of like, the entirety of Whitney's character of like, maybe she thinks she's coming from a good place, but her execution isn't the best.
And I think the solution for that is self-awareness.
Yeah.
It's just understanding your place and understanding what you can do to help, what you should stay out of, you know? Like, there's... not everything is the right time and place, you know?
And maybe she wasn't coming from a good place either.
Exactly. Being educated on whatever you're doing, like, don't try to help people that don't want to be helped, you know?
Yeah, and then it comes across as, like, condescending and, like, trying to be a savior.
Yeah.
It's just, like...
And that's the issue, too. Like, are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it because you genuinely want, like... I hate when people talk about, like, philanthropy or, like, just volunteering or anything, and they're like, oh, you... Like, the only reason why people do any of this is because, like, they want to feel good about themselves, and they want to, seem like they're good people, but...
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I think you can do that because it's your duty, you know? Like, you might not want to do it, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, let's be honest, like, nobody wants to spend their day, like, doing something for free, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no matter how good it makes you feel. there has to be something in you that thinks this is my duty.
Mhm.
You know, like, I'm doing this for people. I'm doing this just to provide something to people that need it. You know?
Right.
I think it's a very cynical view to see it as like, oh, you're just doing it because like it makes you feel better. You know?
And that goes into the toxic polarization. Everybody's just in a negative headspace. Nobody is like, I feel like they're not trying to fix anything. They're pointing out the negatives, and they're just like reinforcing their negativity, and it's like no room for solution. But what's the time?
Oh, we're
We
good.
can wrap it up soon.
Chilling.
Anything you want to mention before we go?
I don't know.
What are you working on right now? Anything?
Me?
Shout out what you're working on.
I'm working on an EP. I have a single coming out next month. The EP should be coming out in March. I'm working on an album too.
Mm.
I have a lot. I'm doing a lot right now with music and art. Yeah. Seashell
Amazing.
Factory, 2024.
What is it?
Seashell Factory.
Seashell Factory.
That's the name of the EP.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got no music coming out.
Hmm?
I got no music coming out.
That's okay.
Anyways, thank you for being a part of this.
Of course. Anytime. I enjoy
This
it.
was actually really fun. This is like the
Conversation.
format I was going for. Like,
Yeah.
I think the idea behind this is like just getting it started without kind of realizing the cameras are rolling. I was saying I did that with my mom this morning. Just like, oh, I'm just testing it out. But like we had such a good conversation. She forgot the cameras were on,
Yeah.
and we just kept going. It was so good. And it's not going to be posted, so.
Please, I feel like I sound like an idiot.
Hey, look, you got to risk sounding like an idiot.
You see, you're right. I feel like there's a part of me that, like, has a lot of valuable things to say, but I don't say them because I feel like I'm going to sound like a fucking idiot. And I'm afraid of criticism and people being like, oh, like, who are you to say this and to, like, talk about this
Dude,
and that?
you
like,
survived the entirety of high school with, like, just saying stuff and then people, like, immediately snapping back, but you said it anyways. Even if it was good or bad.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing to have. I feel like it was very self-censoring. That's a hard thing. Dude, you had a whole Twitter account where people would just, like, tweet shit that you've said.
Yeah. That was really annoying.
I bet.
That pissed me off.
Especially when it was taken out of context, like, Omar hates the Asian world.
I never said
my
that.
God, you didn't. But it was, like, posted multiple times.
Somebody just made that up and then just, like, posted it. It's like,
That's terrible.
okay.
Dude, high school's wild.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I was cyberbullied.
Cyberbully. You took it like a champ.
Yeah. I took Tyler, the Creator's advice.
What was his advice?
Just turn off the fucking phone. Go outside.
Yeah, the solution is just put phone down.
I don't think cyberbullying is real. The only reason cyberbullying is real is because parents don't teach their kids how to deal with it.
We're going to talk about that creator camp. Have a little cyberbullying segment.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out the best way to approach it. But that's something we did not talk about on YouTube.
I think you should definitely
get.
get someone who's like a psychologist or something involved in that to kind of like understand their perspective too. Like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
I'm just kind of not winging it, but just trying to like put myself in the perspective of a kid. Like, how can I absorb this without like my eyes glazing over? 'Cause it's just like thinking back as a kid, I'm like, oh, I gotta talk about this again. They're gonna talk about a educational moment.
I feel like when we were kids, just like when they did like talks about like drugs or like cyberbullying
oh my God,
or
I'd
like
be
all this
yawn.
stuff, it's like it just felt really
Next,
redundant.
please.
It
Yeah.
felt really redundant because you kept hearing like, "This is what you do," you know. But the thing is, like, you have to put it in a different format, or kids are not gonna get it, you know. It's not about the. It's not about the problem itself as it's the main root of everything, you know?
Yeah.
What's the main root of cyberbullying?
I would say, it could be a number of things. It could be a child going through something and is trying to get it out. Anonymity. Is that how you say it? Anonymity.
Why do you think people bully others in school? At
Because
least,
they are themselves are unwell and they're trying to fill a gap.
Exactly.
By putting
Why are they
someone else
unwell?
down. Someone else could be bullying them. They could have a troubled home life. They're insecure for some reason. Could be a number of things.
Would you agree with maybe a lot of kids bully other kids because they have a lack of self-esteem and they want to make themselves feel better by putting themselves above others?
Yeah, that could very well be the case.
It all
I have a
starts
good
in the
question.
household.
Do you think you've ever bullied someone?
I feel like, yeah. But not like drastically.
Yeah.
Very, very subtle.
Mm.
What the kids would call microaggressions.
Oh. I try to think about that. Just like looking back on, the entirety of elementary, junior high, and high school, there must have been someone I've like upset or bullied. What I even fear is like my side comments, because I realize how much like there everybody has like a moment where like they're like, this one guy said this thing to me, and like you just remember it for some reason. So I'm like, there is surely multiple times, maybe one, but like I must have said something in passing that really like hurt someone, and they probably still remember today, and they probably don't like me because of that. But I had no idea. I was just saying shit just to say it. And that's horrifying.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
100%.
feel really bad.
I completely understand that. I feel like I've done that before too. But never with the intention of hurting someone. Like, I don't think I've ever done or said anything that legitimately hurt someone to the point where like they felt genuinely attacked by me, you know?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna like make this person feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I have that kind of like connection in my head, but more of like in passing, like I could have been making a joke and it just wasn't funny, or it ended up hurting someone. But yeah, and then someone out there is still like thinking about that. And I was like, damn, why did I have to say whatever I said?
There's things people might have said when I was in fucking high school that I still think about. That like are so irrelevant now, and it's not really like.
Can you name one?
I actually was just thinking about one.
Let's hear it.
It's like, it's so minimal, but it pissed me off so much at the time because it made me feel so like, I don't know. It was just rude.
What's the comment?
I was sitting in class and this guy named
Okay.
honestly, I'm gonna say his name. This is not being posted. If it is, redacted.
All right.
Beep.
Okay.
I walk into class one day and he sits next to me and I'm like, yo, have you ever heard of Joy Division? I've been listening to them recently. I really like them. And he's like, have I ever listened to the Beatles? And I'm like, what? And he's like, of course I have. How, like, what do you expect, that I'm not gonna know what Joy Division is? And I'm like, bro, like, I'm just sharing something with you that I'm liking. Like,
Yeah.
that just made me feel like, what the fuck, you know? It's like, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, but I'm still thinking about it.
No,
like,
sure. It's like, where does that come from?
Yeah, it's
Why was
like
that
so necessary.
Like,
Like, you're just trying to make me feel bad about not knowing something that, like, I clearly most people don't know. The funniest part is, like, I turn to, like, 4 different people, and I'm like, do you know who Joy Division is? Do you know who Joy Division is? They all say no.
I didn't. In high school, I can tell you, I just recently kind of, like, discovered who they are. Because I'd hear people talking, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I'm too afraid to ask because
Yeah.
I like, end up like that guy. That's happened so much. Like, I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to, like, ask because I'm going to get, like, flamed.
Dude,
just to be like,
fuck
you don't
people,
know.
Fuck people who gatekeep things. I hate it. Just share it.
Or no, not even gatekeep, but just, like, the reaction of, like, you don't know what this is? Like, no, sorry. I'm sorry.
supposed to?
Please enlighten me. Please be the one to tell me. But yeah, I don't. That reaction is like, actually, I don't care. Don't tell me. You know, it's just like, what is that? But honestly, it's just people. You know, maybe someone said that to them, and now they're saying it back to us.
Yeah.
It's an endless cycle of, you don't know what this is. Because I've definitely done that to people. Because someone else did that to me.
But it's never been on, like, I've done it too, but never in, like, oh, no, you don't know this thing? Like, what the fuck? It's
What an
more like...
idiot.
It's, like, it's not, like, looking down on it. It's more of, like, excitement of, like, oh, you don't know this thing? Let me show you.
Yeah, but
I love showing people new things. Like...
I guess I mean it in the sense of, like, grilling someone for not being aware of something. Like, that's unnecessary. And just, like... Now I don't want to know what it is. But yeah, dang, high school. Dude, gonna circle back again. Have you gotten to the parts where, like, in The Curse, Dougie's, like, talking about he knew, what's his name, Asher? They, like, went to camp together.
Yeah, and he,
they,
like, bullied him.
Yeah, but he was completely unaware of it.
Yeah.
Asher was like, we were just having fun. Like, that's kind of like, I always find that interesting.
Sometimes I think about that and I'm like, am I him?
That probably happened.
Has that happened to me?
Happened to us.
Because
Like,
honestly, sometimes I look back at, like, I don't know, I've always been kind of the punching bag in every, like, friend group that I've been in. And, like, thinking back at it, sometimes it feels like genuine disrespect, you know?
what do you think of that? Like, that is a phenomenon that tends to happen to especially you. Like, Omar, he's just doing his thing.
I don't know. I think I don't get mad that easily, you know? So
I think it's
easy to mess
because
with.
you're a likable person.
Yeah.
And people can relate to you well. And you are so authentically yourself that even when it's, like, silly or goofy, people are like, it's easy to, like, jump on that. But
Yeah.
I think that's a great quality to have. And I think it's also a great quality to have, to be unaware of you being bullied. Like, you can see that as ignorance, but I could see that as just, like, you're just living life, you know?
Yeah.
You're not letting it affect you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in my adult life now, though, I think it affects me a little more.
You
I
think
don't
so?
know. Yeah. Like, I'm still not, like, a person who gets, like, overly reactive over things, you know? I don't really care what people say about me or
Yeah.
what they think, but I don't know. I don't like being disrespected, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And it's not in, like, I'm going to get, like, angry and try to fight someone over it, but it's like a...
Because then you lose.
No, like, if you disrespect me, that makes me lose respect for you. And
Yeah.
I'm not seeing you the same way, you know? You're not the same to me anymore.
Absolutely. I saw something on TikTok. I kind of want to try. It's kind of a response to, like, when someone's disrespecting you, like, in the moment, someone's just, like, I don't know, shitting on you. And then you, like, reply, like, you pause, and then you're like, are you okay? Or, like, you're saying something like that. It kind of, like, catches them off guard. Because it's just like, yeah, what are we doing here? You know? I saw someone say that, like, someone, like, starts disrespecting you, you just say, like, oh, you're good, man. Apparently that works.
You're
like,
good, man?
Yeah, he's like, oh, no, you're good, man. Like, okay, for example, let me just say, like, hey, you really chose those pants, didn't you? What are you doing? Why did you pick those pants? It's kind of, don't really look good on you.
You're good. You're good, man.
That's so stupid.
That
But
is
no,
funny.
I don't know. I feel like I want to try it.
You caught me off guard. I was like, what am I supposed to say?
You're good, man. You're supposed to say that. But I want to, like, try something like that I see on TikTok. Like, oh, reply with this. But I feel like the person's going to see that TikTok and then call me out on it. Like, oh, you saw that TikTok, didn't you? And then I'm just going to be defeated.
And then you're
I'm just
disrespected. They double down.
They double down, and I am destroyed.
And
They're
you
like,
have
yeah,
no-
I did see it.
You
And I'm
have no excuse.
Damn. Yeah.
You're destroyed.
I'm not going to try it.
All right.
Anyways,
It's been a nice conversation.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining. I'm not going to post this, though. So... It's great having you. Check out his EP. Check out your EP.
Check out my EP.
All right, let's get dinner.
Let's go.